How do we build community with children, staff, and families? For this research project, we were first given an article based on teacher research. Teacher research stems from teachers' own questions about and reflections on their everyday classroom practices. The ultimate goal is to create new knowledge about teaching and learning with the attempt to change or improve a problematic situation. In the article that we received, we read about the cycle of teacher inquiry, which is the format of which we decided to base our research presentation on. The cycle of teacher inquiry involves the teacher research to 1. Identify a problem of meaning, 2. Develop questions and examine assumptions, 3. Gather data, 4. Analyze data, 5. Interpret data, and finally 6. Take action. After we were given this article to guide us on how to go about our teacher research, we were given a variety of problems in the form of questions divided amongst 3 groups. Our group's question was, how do we build community with children, staff, and parents? Some of the first questions that we asked ourselves were, what is community? What do children think of community, and do they even know what it is? Why is community an important factor in children's learning? How does community impact the children? And finally, where can we find community in the CDLL? We then began to build our assumptions. Children are not aware of the definition of community in the CDLL. Children may not know what to think of community. Including families will make them more involved in their child's learning. More group community activities means more involvement and friendliness. Communication with parents in different ways is also important. And it is not up to the children to build their community, it is up to the parents and teachers. An important part of our process with gathering data was to ask the children, what is community? Here are some of the responses that we got when asking the children this question. Help people, said Asa. Be nice and don't take toys, said Jonathan. Sharing, said Evie. Don't fight, said Axel. Don't hurt people or make them sad, said Daniel. After we asked the children about community, our next step was to set up our provocations and attempt to build stronger community within the CDLL. Our provocations come from within the CDLL classrooms, the indoor movement and dining room, as well as provocations from outside of the school itself. These include the visit to Fifi's Forest, the CMU Coach's Shoes coloring activity, the homecoming breakfast, Papa's Pumpkin Patch, Bring a Special Friend to Lunch, and music time with families, along with Glow in the Dark Night and our Oak Room Community Table project. Fifi's Forest was one of our first field trips that we took this semester and another one of our provocations. The children and families were invited to visit Fifi's house to walk around and explore the nature together. CMU coaches brought in white shoes for the kids to color. The coaches then wore these shoes to the next football game, and the shoes were then put up for auction. The money raised was equally split up between the CDLL and a cancer foundation in honor of the head football coach. Bring a Special Friend to Lunch Day was a day that the children were able to have a visitor accompany them during lunch.
Are you ready? Start it up. In my driving boots. In my driving boots. I drive around in my boots. In my boots. Honk, honk. In my boots. Honk, honk. I drive around in my boots. B-O-O-C-S. Boots. B-O-O-C-S. Good job. Can someone think of one other silly thing we can do in our boots? Rainbow boots?
Rainbow boots.
Oh, what are you going to do in rainbow boots? You're going to collect rainbows? In my rainbow boots, in my rainbow boots, I look and search for my rainbow boots. In my boots, where's the pop? Where's the... Oh, that sounded bad. The gold.
On your ring, sweetie pie? Okay, that's a good idea. Then you can wear it on your
I
wrist.
saw that. I like those.
Amy, can I get you to hold this for me? Just hold that part. There we go.
Why don't you go stand in front of me?
For our community project, we decided to incorporate natural materials and provide the children with pine cones, tree cookies, acorns, sticks, and leaves. We supplied them with glitter glue and natural materials for the first week, and then realizing that the children were simply painting the individual materials with glitter glue rather than putting the materials together, we decided to provoke the children to put the materials together by setting out tacky glue for their use. After the materials were all painted, we strung them up and hung them on a tree in the main lobby of the Education and Human Services building, incorporating community externally between the CDLL and CMU. In a study of 234 low-income parents, Catherine Drummond and Deborah Stipek explained interviews that were conducted regarding both the teacher and the parent's role in parental involvement in children's learning. The results from the interviews showed the need for researchers to examine families' beliefs and to look further on how they can better translate these beliefs into teacher practices. This led us to conduct our own interview in the form of a survey. The survey contained 10 questions consisting of a drop-down rating scale and a short answer comment box. Out of all of the families in the CDLL, we received a total of 25 replies, approximately 40% of the families at the school. One of the questions that we asked the families of the children at the CDLL was, how often have you attended family events or field trips this year? 2 people replied always, 7 people replied many times, 11 people said a few, 2 people replied with none, and 3 said they don't have time. Another question that we asked the families regarding community was, how helpful do you find the daily blog and emails to be at the CDLL? Out of the 25 people that responded, 14 of them found them to be extremely helpful, 6 people said helpful, and 5 people said sort of helpful. Another question that we felt was very important was the one that we asked where it said, how often do you read the CDLL daily blog? Out of the 25 responses of the survey, 3 people said every day, 5 people said 2 or 3 times a week, 8 people said once a week, 5 people said once a month, and 1 person said every couple of months. For further information on our parent survey, please follow the link below. After observing all of our provocations, we went over the results and compared documentation in order to complete the final step in the cycle of teacher inquiry. We focused on the children and families' reactions and responses to different community opportunities offered by the CDLL as well as our group. Asking the children themselves about what community means to them was a positive step in gathering our data, and we found that some of the children had solid grasps on the concepts of community. Based on this data, our group has come up with several recommendations that we feel might positively influence the community between children, staff, and parents at the CDLL in the future. Based on our data, including thoughts from the families, here is our list.